Okay, word problems are always difficult. I always have to read and understand what you just read, but it says Alice and Bill are walking in opposite directions along the same route between A and B. Alice is going from A to B, and Bill is going from B to A. They start at the same time. They pass each other 3 hours later. Wow. Alice arrives at B 2.5 hours before Bill arrives at A. How many hours does it take for Bill to go from B to A? All right, so I got to keep that. I cannot remember that story, by the way. What I can remember is that it's a word problem. It's a distance, rate, time. So it's distance equals rate times time problem. And I know there's two locations over here. And again, I have to read it again. There's Alice. There's a route between A and B. I'm going to just say it's a straight line, by the way. It doesn't have to be. Alice and Bill are walking opposite directions. The same route. It's between A and B. Alice is going from A to B. So this is Alice. Alice is over here. And she's going in this direction. And this is Bill. And he's going in this direction. All right? They start at the same time, by the way. They pass each other 3 hours later. So I'm going to say, 3 hours later, and again, I'm not exactly sure where that is, Bill would be there and Alice would be there. They pass each other. Right? That's 3 hours in. It says Alice arrives at B. So Alice arrives here. Again, I'm just reading it. Alice arrives at B 2.5 hours before. So 2, let me make sure I'm reading that right, and 1/2 hours. And she's the first one there. So Bill arrives over here 2.5 hours later, by the way. Okay, so I got to keep reading it. And it says, how many hours does it take Bill to go from B to A? So I got to start writing things down now. So I'm going to say T is the time it takes Bill to go from B to A. And if that's the case, by the way, Alice takes 2.5 hours less than that. I'll use a decimal number though. So this is a time it takes Alice to go from A to B. All right. Boy, this is complicated, isn't it? Okay. Let's talk about Bill's rate. So Bill's rate, I'm going to say Bill's rate is R sub B. So Bill's rate is going to be the distance between A and B. I'll call that D. So let me point out what I mean by that. The distance between these two things over here is D. I don't know the distance, but I'm going to say it's D's the distance and T. And Alice's rate, oh boy, really screwing up with the penmanship. Alice. I'll say R sub A. It's still a distance, but her time now is going to be 2 minus 2.5. Okay, what do I know? I know in 3 hours they meet each other. So it's going to be 3 times D over T plus 3 times D over 2 minus 2.5 would cover the entire distance. In other words, Bill gets here, Alice gets there, they meet each other in 3 hours, they cover the entire distance. Well, this is fortunate now. I'll tell you why. I don't need to know what d is anymore because I'm going to divide both sides by d. And you get 3 over t equals 3 over, whoops, sorry, not equals, plus t minus 2.5 equals 1. I divided both sides by d. I can multiply both sides by the LCD. You get 3 t minus 2.5 plus 3 times t equals t times t minus 2.5. Right, I got to figure this out now. 3t. 3 times 2.5 is 6, 7.5 plus 3t. This is going to be t squared minus 2.5 t squared. All right, let's keep moving. And you're going to get 6t minus 7.5 equals t squared minus 2.5 t. I'm sorry, that's not t squared, t. Let's keep going. T squared minus 8.5 t. I subtracted 6t from both sides, and plus 7.5. All right, I'm looking at this thing, and I'm going to factor it even with the decimal in there, but yeah, so hopefully it's going to work out pretty nicely. It seems like it will. Looks like 7.5 and 1 minus minus, and that does work. So t could be 1, or t could be 7.5. All right, time to think, by the way. I'm wondering, if t is 1, that doesn't seem reasonable, by the way, because it says that Alice got there 2.5 hours before Bill did. So that's not possible, all right? So I'm going to cross this one out. I'm going to say 7.5. So let's take a look. I'm going to say t is 7.5. By the way, I want to go back and read the question, see if I answer the question. And t is the amount of hours. Let me make sure I know about this over here. Yeah, time it takes for Bill to go from B to A. I'm going to check this out too, by the way. How many hours does it take Bill to go from B to A? I'm going to say 7.5 hours. That's my answer, by the way. Let's go back and see what happens over here, though. And I'm going to put down, this is going to be D over 7.5, and this is going to be D over 5. All right? I think I can figure out D now, if I wanted to. Actually, it's not being asked for. Why would I do that? So anyway, we got our answer, 7.5 hours. We're done. Thank you.